Well, Charles, thanks for joining on the Foodytime Summer Show. I'm really eager to hear your story and tell us about your tales of summer.
Thanks for inviting me. This is a little tale of my teenage years. This is Confessions of a Dairy Queen. Imagine yourself on a hot night pulling onto the parking lot of a Dairy Queen in Indianapolis, Indiana, in the summer of 1969. Imagine you spent all afternoon washing and waxing your father's car, shining the chrome, and now as you cruise onto the lot watching streetlights glint on the polished hood, you feel like the star of your own movie. Everything seems possible tonight. It's all there, right in your hand, as close and real as your steering wheel. The place is hopping. Cars looking to park cruise the lot like sharks, swimming slow circles in search of dinner. But just as you finish your first lap, a car pulls out of a space right in front of the window. So you slide in, 3 beats ahead of some guy in a white Camaro. You kill the engine and sit for a moment, listening to the end of a song on the radio. It's Marvin Gaye, all tangled up in the grapevine. You look across the seat at your girl. She's smiling, eyes closed, lightly tapping the dashboard like a set of bongo drums, mouthing the words, but not singing out loud because she's self-conscious about her voice. You like her voice just fine, but for some reason, you maybe can't explain, you also like that she's a little shy about it. When the echoes of Marvin's plea fade, you take out your wallet and hand her a $5, and she gets out and walks up to the window. All the girls are at the window. All the boys sitting behind the wheel, radios on, young lords of the universe, checking out each other's cars, each other's girls. The guy next to you is in your homeroom and you catch his eye. He glances at your girl, looks back at you and nods, flashes a grin and a thumbs up. You return his grin, then lean back against the headrest to breathe in the smell of hot dogs and the traces of your girl's perfume. It's mid-July. Summer's really just getting cranked up. Next weekend, you and your pop are headed for the lake to try your luck at bream and catfish. You'll take an iron skillet and toss some cornmeal and milk in the cooler next to the root beers. And when you catch some fish, and you almost always catch fish, you'll clean a few, roll them in cornmeal, and cook them in bacon fat right there on the bank. And week after next, you and the guys are taking your first road trip, driving down to Cincinnati to catch a Reds game. Watch Pete Rose and Johnny Bench duke it out with the Cubs. And right now you're watching your girl at the counter, and when she gets back, you'll drink your chocolate malted and eat your chili cheese dog. No onions today. With the windows down and the radio on, and after that you'll just drive around. No place in particular to go. Maybe across the White River Bridge. Find a quiet little spot to pull over near Riverside Park and talk for a while. Maybe neck a little, making sure not to push your luck, and listen to the crickets. On hot summer nights at the Dairy Queen, I was right in the middle of the action. But I wasn't there in a nice car, with a girl strolling up to the counter to buy my ice cream cone. I was a wallflower in high school, the guy making the cone. The guy behind the window in the geeky little short sleeve polyester shirt with clip-on bow tie and paper hat. For 3 summers, I'd worked at the Dairy Queen next to my high school. For 3 summers, I explored the mysteries of slush and strove to make the perfect malts and milkshakes and dipped cones. My bosses were Don and Sandy Cherry, the married couple that owned the franchise. In a way, they probably ruined my life. By that I mean they gave me an unrealistic sense of what you could reasonably expect from an employer. When they showed you how to do some part of the job, they patiently explained what they wanted until they were sure you understood. If you messed up, They pulled you aside and told you quietly and calmly what you'd done wrong, how to fix the mess, and how to handle it next time. And when you did something well, they mentioned it in front of everybody. And they never charged us for food. They figured the cost of a few kids' lunches wasn't going to put them out of business. They just expected us not to overdo it, and we didn't. And they never had to tell us, don't feed your friends when you're not here. Because they trusted us, we were trustworthy. Imagine that. I was never more impressed by their patience than on the day of the great slush disaster of 1969. Briefly, this is what went down. This was my second summer on the job, and I was trusted with a great responsibility, coming in alone on Sunday mornings to do the opening prep, to make sure that everything that needed to be filled was filled, to note what supplies needed to be ordered, to reassemble the innards of the ice cream machine, which is taken apart and cleaned each night at closing time. On those Sundays, I gave George Jones and Tammy Wynette the morning off and turned the radio over to Wilson Pickett and Jimi Hendrix. I also had to check the slush bucket and refill it when it got low. You probably all have slush or Slurpee or Freezy, depending on what part of the country you're from. It's a fruit-flavored drink made up of tiny ice crystals. It's the quickest route known to a brain freeze with a careless slurper. In those days, the plain slush mix, basically sugar water with thickening agents added, sat in a tub out back in the walk-in cooler and was pumped through tube to the machine in front, where it was quickly frozen and mixed with the delicious chemicals that imitated your chosen flavor. The bucket that held the plain mix was a white 50-gallon tub that rested on two large metal cans inside the walk-in. When the tub was nearly empty, I'd take it out of the cooler, pour the remaining mix into a smaller container, wash the tub, and set it back on the metal cans. Then I'd pour the remaining slush mix back into the tub. Next, I'd make more slush mix to fill the tub the rest of the way. I'd empty 2 10-pound bags of sugar into a bucket that was used only for this. Then pour in some warm tap water and stir until the sugar dissolved. Then I'd add a gallon jug of thickening agent. God knows what was in it. Pour all this into the slush bucket and top off with more tap water. But one particular Sunday, I'd gone through all these steps, and when almost finished, suddenly realized, to my horror, that I hadn't set the slush tub properly atop the metal cans. It was starting to tip over, and there was nothing I could do about it. I can still see it all in slow motion, like a gunfight in a Sam Peckinpah flick. 55 gallons of sugary goop flowing like the waters of a broken dam over the edge of the cooler and forming a 2-inch deep lake in the back room. I stood there for a minute, wondering if I was too young to run up and join the French Foreign Legion, and then sloshed over to the phone to call Don. After I described the situation, he was silent for a little while. Then he simply and calmly said, "We'll be there in a half hour." Thanks, Don and Sandy, for being such good sports and treating us kids like adults in training. They're both long gone, as is that Dairy Queen itself. No, weeds poke up through the asphalt where it once stood. And the teenagers who buzzed the joint on hot summer nights, bursting at the seams, so primed and ready for whatever was next, have laminated Medicare cards tucked away in our wallets. None of us knew what lay ahead, what mixture of sorrows and joys waited for each of us as we drove off that Dairy Queen lot for the last time at the end of that final carefree summer. But on those nights so long ago, it was enough to sit in your car knocking back the heat with a root beer float, with the windows down, your best girl sitting next to you, smelling like a flower garden. It was enough to have Dad's car and a tank full of cheap gas and Marvin Gaye on the radio. And this one perfect night stretched out before you, as bright and smooth as a ribbon of brand new highway.
Wow, Charles, I love your stories. I love your storytelling, but certainly something that I can relate to, and probably just about everybody else. Thank you so much, and thank you. We're both in summer shirts too for the.
We're rocking it.
Well, that was great. Thanks a lot, Charles.
It was my pleasure. It was my pleasure.